Now we want to make a split grade print from our test strip. So we look at all the steps and we choose the one that we think is about right but slightly darker. So in this case that step would be 6, and this is roughly giving us the exposure time that we need for the split grade. We're not going to make a print from that 6 seconds, but we divide that by 2, and then we take half of it, so that's 3 seconds at the low contrast exposure. We're going to use grade 0, and then you take the other half and use grade 5, that's the high contrast exposure. So that's the only reason we've done this, was to get those numbers for those 2 exposures. So we're going to take 6 seconds, divide it by 2, 3 seconds at low contrast, 3 seconds at high contrast. And that'll get us started with split grade. Okay, so now we've got the 2 exposure times for our split grade printing. So now we program those into the timer. 3 seconds, grade 0. 3 seconds at grade 5. Okay, now we're ready to make our first split grade print. Just press the go button, the timer button, once and twice because it's programmed in. So it does the 2 exposures one after another. Just a few seconds till you can see the image, and then into the stop bath. Just a few seconds in the stop bath, then into the fixer. And that's fixed. So let's turn the lights on and see how we've done. And there's the final print. So that's made with 3 seconds at grade 0 and 3 seconds at grade 5. And we can compare it to the single exposure print, and there's not a huge difference between them. The lower one is the split grade print, and they look very similar. Looking at this print, I can see that the blacks are a little bit blocked up, not enough detail in the shadows. So I can get more detail in the shadows there, and I can put more contrast and brighten up the water, separate the tones in the bridge, the grasses, and make the rock stand out a bit just by changing the contrast. So we'll change from grade 0 to grade 1 and reduce the grade 5 exposure and see what happens. For the next print, we're going to increase the contrast in the overall print and get more detail in the shadows. And we're going to do that by changing the low contrast exposure from grade 0 to grade 1, and the high contrast exposure will be reduced from 3 seconds to 2.4 seconds. If you piece of paper in, and then we do the low contrast exposure. This is grade 1, and then the 2.4 seconds at grade 5, so that was reduced from 3. The print's gone into the developer and the image has come up already. Drain it for a few seconds, still developing while you're doing this. Into the stop bath, a few seconds in stop bath. That deactivates the developer. Into the fixer, and that's fixed. So now we'll have a look at that in white light, and we'll compare it with the print that we made, the previous split grade print. Let's take this one out. Okay, so if I hold them down here, you should be able to see the top one was the first print that we made, and the second one is the one made with higher contrast, and it's made a big difference to the print. The water and the rocks really stand out. So those are the sort of adjustments that I would make when I'm making my prints, and using split grade means that I don't often do much more than the 2 basic exposures. We've made the basic test strip, and then we've done a split grade, and then we've done a split grade print where we've adjusted it, and in 3 sheets of paper effectively we've got to the final print. So that's how you make a split grade print, using a simple test strip as the starting point for the exposure. Then you divide by 2 and you do 1 exposure at grade 0, 1 exposure at grade 5. The 2 grades aren't fixed, so if you want to use something else, if you want more contrast in your picture, you would increase the low contrast grade, so you can increase it to grade half, grade 1, grade 1.5, something like that. I always use grade 5 for the high contrast exposure because I like punchy prints, so I never change the grade 5. It's always the time at grade 5 but never the grade at grade 5, and then the time and the contrast at the low contrast end can both change. So that's how you make a split grade print in the way that the Ilford printers used to do it, and they trained me. It's the technique that should really be used for creative printing on multigrade papers, and it makes your life much easier because you need a lot less dodging and burning.